Wow, wow, wow. My, oh, my, oh, my. Man, boy, the police just keep screwing up and doubling down. And, they making the news for all the wrong reasons why. Well, we got a couple we're going to do. But first, we're going to do this one. NYPD is making news for the wrong reasons again. It was just a couple days ago I did a story about an NYPD cop opened fire on a crowded platform at Subway because somebody supposedly evaded $2 and some change fare on the subway. Like I said, this is why some transit systems are just getting rid of the fare because it makes it easier, and they get more than enough revenue from the state, the government, advertisement, other stuff like that. Why is NYPD making the news again? Well, we got one here. Cops ambush an innocent black worker at a homeless shelter in warrantless search. Yes, we're talking in DHS worker. NYPD cops ambush innocent homeless shelter worker at a DHS. Why? Well, let's find out.
Like, this guy's a homeless shelter worker.
Yeah.
He's doing his job. NYPD decides to just beat him down. And I mean, really beat him down. Put up the picture full mask. It's an unbelievable but believable story. So in New York, surveillance footage obtained by CBS News New York shows NYPD cops repeatedly punching Mr. Jason Salters, who was working at a Brooklyn homeless shelter last February. Salters says officers attacked him when he was trying to follow orders to do his job. Now, when you hear what he was trying to do, you will respect this man even more and have even more disdain for the cops. It happened on the 5th of that month. He was working a shift. He's a shift supervisor for the nonprofit hired by the city's Department of Homeless Services. He's working for the government to run the Renaissance Shelter in Crown Heights. Mr. Salters said NYPD officer showed up early in the morning looking for a domestic violence suspect. This isn't new. It happens, right?
Yeah.
So they're looking for a domestic violence suspect, and they said he's at the shelter. He says the police did not have a warrant.
No warrant.
According to an internal DHS government report. So he did what any good shift supervisor would do. He called.
Well, he did what any good human being, American, would do when the cops don't have a warrant. Stand for the rights, tell them, go get a warrant, then you can come back. I mean, how many times and how many videos have we seen cops show up at people's property, homes, or businesses where they're working at? No warrant, but they abuse their power no matter what. Countless of times. Because people deny them access, tells them to leave, and stand up for their rights. And it pisses cops off these days. When people stand up for the rights, I have rights. When they stand up for the First Amendment right, Second Amendment, Fourth Amendment, Fifth Amendment rights.
The director. He said, "Hello, Madam Director. This is a director of social services for the city of New York."
City of New York.
The government director of social services was then placed on speakerphone. Quote, she said in front of the sergeant and officers, quote, "No, Jason, absolutely not. Do not let them in. They do not have a warrant." I said, "No, ma'am. Absolutely not. Do not let them in." End quote. He calls him. He does the right thing.
Yeah. He's
Madam
just trying to do
Director,
his
have
job.
police here. They allege that somebody is in the shelter.
And plus all of that, he called the supervisor of the place, the manager, and she knows the rights to her establishment and the police there, just like he knows. Just like every other person that denies entry and access when they don't have a warrant. Because people know their rights, and like I said, it pisses the cops off.
That they suspect of criminal assault, domestic battery.
And another thing, what pisses what police officers as well is when you don't give up your rights, You don't kiss the ring and lick the boots. Like, kiss the ring and lick the boots so you're off the team. You know what I'm saying? That's the same thing that the puppy mill shillies have.
Do they have a warrant, Jason? No, ma'am, they don't have a warrant. You cannot let them in, Jason. You can't do that. It's against the rules, against the policy, it's against their rights. You can easily get a warrant in New York. They have a 24-hour magistrate court. You can actually just email the judge. Hell, you can actually do it via text message in New York.
Yeah. They can just get their phone out and text the judge.
To send a text message to one of the judges. You have a 24-hour court system that allows for you to generate warrants.
And not only that, you know, if there was a detective on the scene as well, he could have got a hold of a nearest judge. Probably have one speed dial. A lot of times there's so many judges in NYPD. Could have get a hold of a judge saying, oh, can we get a warrant? Usually I bet you if it's enough circumstance or enough evidence, judge would have signed off on that. Boom. They would have had one right there. Oh, here's a warrant. Okay. But no, they had to do it the hard way.
24 hours.
By flexing and abusing their power.
And you rather use all your energy to jump on a man who's doing
his job.
With millions watching and many people benefiting. The report said, quote, while on speakerphone with Mr. Salters and NYPD, the Social Services Director had reiterated that according to DHS policy, the NYPD is not permitted to search the facility for a client if they are not in active pursuit, like a foot chase. But CBS News New York Investigates reviewed other DHS documents. The state officers could enter in some circumstances with a document called an investigative card or I-card. The DHS report on the incident shows the officers presented an I-card that morning, but Salters said he'd never heard of that, which is why he called the Social Services Director. Now, I don't want you to get caught up in the weeds here, because the next thing they did throws out any reasonable effort in order to follow the...
Yeah, what they did to him expunges the reasonable doubt and reasonable suspicion. And that's why their qualified immunity went out the door, what they did to him.
Law. Put it up full mass. He offered to go and try to convince the client to come down. He said, let me go talk to him. Let me see if he'll just come out. Okay? But the officer said, no, we will get him. Insisted on entering, even though the director said no. Eventually, one of them got through a door and got closer to the dormitory area. So Salter said he held the door to try to keep the others out. Well, basically telling me to step aside. If you don't open this effing door, I'm going to tase you, is what the cop said. Mr. Salters said, and I'm like, whoa, don't tase me. I don't want to be tased for nobody. So he puts his hands up, okay? He puts his hands up. He doesn't want to be harmed by the police. He's working for the government. He's a shift supervisor. After stepping aside, what happened? They didn't come in to get...
Of course, you know, some of the thin blue line managers can be like, well, he was interfering with their investigation. Like, no, he wasn't. They didn't have a warrant. They didn't present him like a piece of paper, documented, or on the phone like he had a warrant. The guy was just simply doing his job. A government worker doing his job.
Anybody but him at that time. They rushed him.
How they rush him? Like this.
And the two of them started to punch him repeatedly, over and over and over and over again. Two other officers entered the room when the door was open, and eventually all four of them jumped on him, handcuffed him. The DHS report says the officers ambushed Salters, who says he never threatened them. He never fought back. Salters said he was taken to a hospital, and eventually he himself was taken to Central Booking, NYPD, where police told him he was being charged with obstruction of justice, and he was being charged with resisting arrest.
Oh, here we go again.
However, the day after he was beaten,
Seems like cops love to charge people with that nowadays. I've heard so many times resisting.
He
They're
says
also
he
charged
went
with
through this pain
obstruction,
and trauma.
interfering,
Quote, my anxiety level
disorderly conduct.
is on 1,000. I also have some injuries to arms and legs and back, but there's my biggest problem is peace of mind.
Yeah.
I don't go outside anymore. A uniform itself brings me back, Salter said. Here's the NYPD chief, Jeffrey B. Maudry, and New York Mayor Eric Adams. The NYPD and the mayor's office would not agree to an interview with CBS News New York or explain why the cops responded in the way they did. The DHS report says after the officers handcuffed Salters, they searched the shelter, and guess what?
They didn't find him.
Nobody.
Found no one.
They did not find the suspect they claimed was in the facility. So the only man they arrested was the one man simply doing his job. Protecting and serving. NYPD. The city's lawyer.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You always see about, when you go around the town and you see on the cruisers or a police that says protect and serve. No. Cops nowadays, especially they got that mentality like back in the old wild days, back in 70s, 80s, they just do whatever they want. No, they don't protect and serve. It's to intimidate, harass, and bully you. That's what they're trying to flex their power, think they're above the law, think they're judge, jury, and executioner, one fell swoop.
I wrote that all of this is really reasonable, justifiable within the scope of their employment because the city did not provide any specifics on what made the officers react that way. So spokespersons for the NYPD, the Department of Homeless Services, and the Department of Social Service say they will not comment on pending litigation.
Of course they're not going to comment.
But it's clear, based on what the director said.
They always do shit like that when it's an investigation. Oh, we can't comment on it.
And I'm glad
DHS
made sure all of this was part of the record so that we can have the...
Yeah, and guess what's going to happen? Guess what's going to happen after about a month or two down the road? I was saying, after concluding our investigation, we found that our officers did no wrongdoing. How many times do you hear that? About 95% of the time.
Before, during, and after, because you can't depend on the police report to tell you the truth.
Nope.
And so we have a video, we have witnesses.
That's why we have cameras nowadays.
Record, and we have the DHS narrative that provides the entire story as to what happened. Hell of a thing. Dear brother, this man simply calls his boss, follows the orders. It's another government agency. This is a government agency against government agency. Police are not above being a governmental agency, and they decide not to operate in a manner that's fair or appropriate or even professional. They do this to people who are serving under the same government umbrella as they are.
I think that Jason Salter has colluded with the NYPD to get a settlement payoff for being beat down. There's no way that the NYPD went into this homeless shelter, a government instituted building, knowing that there are all those cameras, as you pointed out, Dr. Ritchie, did this to a reasonable, respectable citizen and employee of that shelter, and then thought nothing would come of it. They paid out $300 million in lawsuit settlements in 2023. They just wanted to finish 2024 off strong. They were like, Jason, we got you, bro. You're our boy. We'll hook this up. Because there's no way that people are not aware of abuse in this state, especially when it comes to the NYPD and the saunter of cases that they have against them right now. Anyone who thinks the Constitution is a hindrance is a tyrant. We have amendment rights for a reason. The same people that love their Second Amendment, they also oftentimes forget that the justifications for that Second Amendment are the First Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, and the Fifth Amendment. And those are all to protect the individual from self-incrimination and search and seizures that are illegal. And this is clearly one of those cases. Qualified immunity should not be a factor in this. We should take the time now to realize that we have a problem. The biggest gang in New York City is the NYPD. And we understand that being a police officer is a hard job, but don't make it harder by being a bad police officer.
That's right. If all of those who are pro-cop and pro give police more money, okay. well, we all should agree that this is defunding the police. And I would encourage you
get
to
bad cops
not
like that.
get
There's a reason
upset
why they call
at
that
someone
by
who
police agencies
says
get defunded.
defund the police, and to focus that energy on the cops who defund the actual department by way of this lawless living. And number two, if the cops actually find the person they're looking for, they violated so many constitutional rights to do so, no prosecutor would be able to make a case stick because of the protocol violations of the police.
No, that, if that prosecutor tried to make that case stick for a grand jury or judge, that case would get thrown out faster than a person ordering a Big Mac at Mickey D's. Yeah, and the biggest one is, First Amendment. Freedom of speech, freedom of press, freedom of religion, freedom of assembly, and freedom to petition your grievance to the government and your town hall. All right, I'm out of here. Much. Peace out.